Of it.
Anyway,
Trying to make some money here.
from where we start the golf swing, we want to try to turn 90 degrees with our shoulder rotation, because your shoulder rotation will help set up the width of the golf swing and give you more speed through impact. If you under rotate your shoulders, then you're going to lose an awful lot of speed, and angle of attack is going to change. It's going to be a lot steeper. Okay, so we want to always try to obtain the 90-degree rotation. Okay, I'm just throwing that as pepper on top of the egg before we get into the weight shift and balance and all that. In your bodies, we try to balance our weight between the ball and the ankle on both feet evenly from heel to toe. You never want to be on your toes in this game. You never want to be on your heels, but you're better to be on your heels than you are on your toes. At least on your heels, you got a chance to hit a big old cut. On your toes, you're probably going to be a smothered miss hook. You know what I mean? But anyway, so you try to always think of equal weight pressure in your puppy dogs down there on the earth. You want to feel the earth just oozing up through your feet. You want to feel like you're part of that soil that you're standing on, that grass. That's how soft you want to feel your body, just like it's a big old bag of cotton. Oh, that's a nice little truck right there.
Yeah, he just kind of stopped.
All right, so we talk weight balance between the heels and toes, okay? The next thing that we're going to talk about is spine angle. Everyone has a proper spine angle that they should play this game at. The reason you create an angle in your spine is so that your arms can rotate around your shoulders and around your body. Okay, so you think of your body as in two pieces. Your legs are more or less straight up and down, then your spine is angled inward toward the ball to give you a place for your arms to rotate around. If you stand too tall, you can't create an up and down motion. You know, if you overbend, then the chances of that club coming down to the same point are slim to none. It's slim just left hand.
Keep your knees straight.
We're going there.
Okay.
I just ain't got there yet.
All right.
But no, good point. Good point. Okay, so everybody kind of understand the spine angle of your setup is critical to being a repetitive ball striker.
How do you know what angle?
Well, you guys have probably all seen that infomercial where the guy talks about 144 degrees. You try to create a 100. That's what, you know, that one big infomercial. 144 degree angle between your spine and your club shaft as they come up and go up. That would be the proper angle. I mean, he is right on that. What he's saying, it's very, very true. But if you're extremely tall or extremely short, there's variance. You got a long body up top or short body. There's so many. Every human being is different. So we have to, you know, be a little more flexible. Like me as a short person, I always had a fairly upright club because I was so short, and I may stand a little further away from the ball than a taller guy. You know what I mean? But all of that is in relationship to your height and your size. Because that was a good question. How do you find your right spine angle?
That's why guys get clubs customized.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I mean, you know, they can make these clubs about 1.5 inches longer, or they can make them about 1 inch, 1.5 inches shorter. They can. But once you start going further than that, you start affecting the flex and the flex point of the shaft, and it's hard to be successful. Like these 6'7", 6'8", 6'10" guys, their clubs are as long as they can be, you know, for the most part. But God, it makes them awful heavy, and Lord Jesus. But anyway, okay, we're going to get into the lower body and the weight shift. I just wanted to bring up the spine angle. How do you know when the spine angle is correct? The one thing you want to do in setting your spine angle is never, ever affect the balance. The weight should always be evenly distributed from heel to toe, correct? So if I bend over, I'm still keeping that weight in the same place. That weight's not going forward when I start to set up a spine angle, okay? So as I slowly come down to the earth, I'm slightly bending my knees, just slightly. I feel like I can sit on a chair with my abs, because I want to feel every inch of my body, every pound of my body in my feet. I want to feel all my weight down in my feet right now, because that's the only thing that touches the earth is your feet. So you want all your weight down, down, down low. So you're nice and relaxed. You create your spine angle. You set your club down. Your knees are flexed slightly. How do you create the setup? By weight distribution. We try to think of hitting golf balls with, say, your mid-irons down to your wedges. You try to think about 55% of your weight mass on the right foot, 45 on the left foot. With drivers and hybrids, you think more like 60-40. Okay, 60% of your weight on your right, 40 on your left. How do you obtain that? There's only one thing in your body that controls your weight balance from left to right. That's your spine. Okay? If your spine leans a little to the right, then you're transferring more weight naturally to your right foot. I know that sounds simplistic, but it is. It's very simplistic. That's what controls your weight balance from left to right, is your spine. You can lean it, lean it, lean it, lean it, overlean it. What 99.9% of the tour players, when they set up over the ball, they have a little more weight in their right foot. Now, it may not be real noticeable to the naked eye, you know, when you look at them from the side angle on TV when they're showing them, you know, setting up, getting ready to hit a ball. But they're going to have more weight on that right foot for all conventional full swing type shots, okay? So your right shoulder is naturally going to be a little lower than your left one, because your right hand on the club is lower than your left one. So you're already creating a natural spine lean to the right, and that's a great thing, because we must always be behind the golf ball with our spine, and our left eye must always be at least an inch to an inch and a half behind the golf ball when you're setting up and when you're in impact. If your eye ever gets forward to the golf ball through impact, then it's not going to be a good result, okay? It's going to change the bottom out point of your golf swing, because all we're trying to do is create a circular motion with your club shaft. A nice, consistent circular cylinder motion is all we're trying to create. We want it to always bottom out at the same place, okay? So that's why the balance, the spine angle, all are very, very important in hitting a golf ball, so that you can be very repetitive in coming back to impact, because we always want that club to come back to the same point, okay? So now, as we talk about rotation now, so everybody's kind of got the weight balance from heel to toe, how we try to initially set up. Then we just slightly bend our knees and kind of take your ass and push it back and up a little bit, almost like you're going to try to set a little something right there. And you try to think of that spine angle at an angle with your shaft line. So now we're nice and comfortable. Now, you couldn't stand here long, but you're comfortable for a few seconds anyway. So the weight's evenly distributed between your heels and your toes. That's the foundation to a golf swing, is having your weight balance correct. Because from this point, when you rotate, you don't want any weight ever going forward toward the ball or any weight ever going away from the ball. That's how you see people stumble and rumble around on a golf swing, is when their weight in their feet is out of balance. So the weight in the feet, along with the weight, shifting the weight from left to right, which I hadn't even gotten into yet, that's what we're going to hit next. I was talking about the spine angle controls the weight balance in your body. Everybody understand that? So we try to lean just a little, 1 or 2 degrees to the right, where it's hardly noticeable. That helps to get you behind the golf ball and start getting weight on the right side, because at the top of the golf swing, you're going to have 90-something% of your weight mass on the inside of your right leg. Never should that weight ever be on the outside. If you go outside, you're dead. You're going to come over the ball and across what we call over the top, and your club head position and your swing plane position will be coming from the outside to the inside at impact. And you don't want that, because that's going to either create a dead pull or a big slice. Okay?
Okay, here's
Swing plane. Yeah. So, how do we obtain getting our weight mass to the right side at the golf swing? First thing you want to think about, when we widen our feet out for our golf setup and stance, with a driver would be the widest you'd ever be. With a wedge, you'd be the shortest width, and that's usually about 4 to 5 inches differential between your longest club and your shortest club. And each club in between has about a half-inch increment movement of widening your stance from a wedge up to a driver. I mean, if you get too wide in your stance, then it prohibits your hips from rotating, and that's no good. If you're going to be a little too narrow with your stance width, that's better than being too wide. At least you'll still hit the ball fairly good, have good rotation. You might lose a few yardage in distance, you know, from not maxing out your rotation, but still you're going to hit the ball pretty doggone good. So if anything, stand closer than wider. That'll kill you right there, because you get no good rotation. All right, so as we shift the weight in the golf swing and the shoulder rotation, I was talking about that earlier, the 90-degree rotation. And if y'all think I'm boring you, you tell me.
I want to ask a
If
question.
I'm getting too deep. Yeah.
No, that's great. When you're setting up on the ball, you know, the old saying, irons, you center it, and driver
Ball position.
position of
Ball
ball.
position. Let's,
So-
we'll go ahead and jump in that right
Yeah,
quick, and
yeah,
then
where
we'll
do
get
you-
back to the weight shift.
Okay.
Okay. Ball position. Particularly with these new drivers, these great big wide-faced drivers nowadays, they've actually raised the striking point of the drivers a little higher up on the faces now, so you want to tee your balls a little higher than you used to, for sure. And you're always trying to think of that driver, that the club is coming slightly at the bottom of the arc and then it's just starting up. That's where you want to make contact with your driver. You don't want to think of your driver still maybe flat at the ground or traveling downward in impact. You always want to think of the driver is coming slightly upward at impact, okay, during your launching of a golf ball. All irons, you always want to think of the club is still traveling at the bottom, down, makes contact, goes a slight shallow divot and back up. And also with all your hybrid clubs, think of an iron. Make it like it's an iron in your head. A mistake that many people make with these new hybrid clubs is they get them too far up in their stance, and they're actually coming up in impact, and they're losing a whole lot of distance and a lot of different things.
What's the hybrid?
The hybrid is the club that they created, Chris, that replaced like the 1 iron, 2 iron, 3 iron, 4 iron, 5 iron.
Like small
A
woods.
small wood. They're a little longer than the irons, but not nearly as long as like a 3 wood or a 4 wood or a driver in the old conventional clubs.
Heavier head.
But I think I feel like whenever I'm playing my hybrid off the turf versus on a tee, that I have to change my setup. Like if it's on a tee, I have to play a little further up. But if I'm playing it off the dirt, then it's a little further back in my stance.
I would agree with that to a degree. Yeah, I would agree with that philosophy generally. Yeah, you want to have it a little more forward. Okay.
Okay, so
Is
it's
that
just
what
not
you're
me
saying?
like messing up.
I mean, driver, I try to play the driver, kind of think of it off the inside of your heel of your left foot. That's
Yeah.
kind of where you want the driver. Every other club comes back at about a half-inch increments. Driver, 3 wood, 5 wood, then your hybrids, then your 6
When
irons.
you're saying
your
back, you're saying back to your
back
right foot.
from left to right,
Yeah,
the
back
ball
to your-
position.
back-
Driver,
yeah, back to your right foot,
exactly.
sure.
So that the variance would be about a 7-inch to 8-inch this way, and 7 to 8-inch this way, for your ball position dictated by what club you're hitting. Short clubs, wedges, up to long
Sure, you're
drivers.
closer in.
Because remember, your spine angle should always be the same. So the club position grounding out is only going to be changed by the length of the shaft. And the length of the shaft is going to ground out differently, as the longer one's going to ground out way up front out there, the shorter ones as they come back to you. Does
Is
that
that
kind of
right?
answer your question, Charlie?
Was that right
Nothing.
to try to play a hybrid more like it would a driver to catch it on the upslope on a tee versus off the ground? Like,
I don't think I'd go all the way to a
well,
driver.
not that far up.
Yeah,
but
I think
I
I'd
think it more in that
I
philosophy.
think
where-
maybe about an inch or so inside of my left heel, maybe. You know, teeing it up on the tee box. Yeah.
not trying to bottom it out
Yeah.
and take a divot really.
Yeah, well, see, with the hybrids, you want to kind of think of that you're like an iron, that your club is still slightly traveling downward in impact, slightly. Okay? I mean, experiment next time you're at the range. Always experiment with ball position. If you think the ball's flying way too high or way too low, move the tee back or move it up at half-inch increments and experiment, Because wherever your club is grounding out, that's where you want that ball position to be.
Yeah.
A way to find out where should the ball be in your stance, Charlie, is take a practice swing. Set up, take a practice swing with that 5 iron. Where's that club hitting at? Oh, get right there. Then I want that ball right in there where that club is hitting. You know what I mean? It's a way to kind of look at your position of your ball. The other thing that I'll say is generally nothing is played back past center of your stance other than specialty shots, okay? Or unless you've got a wedge in your hand and you say, okay, I can get a little more spin rotation. If I move it back a little bit, maybe I can pinch it a little bit more, But pinching a golf ball and getting backward rotation primarily comes from the speed of the club and the angle of attack. That's what creates rotation, backspin in your golf ball, okay? But you can cheat it and move it back a little bit and create just a little bit more backspin. You know what I mean? A little bit.
angle.
So, yeah. So,
So basically, any time you said other than specialty shots,
yeah.
if you're anywhere from tee to green, somewhere fairway to just off the rough, the ball should never really be behind.
Never behind center for normal, common.
Yeah.
Most of your swings with full iron shots and stuff should never be back past center. Now, if you're trying to hit a little, you're in the trees,
Yeah, you got to
and
move
you're
it.
trying to hit
you
a
got-
little
yeah,
cut or
assume-
something,
assume
you
there's
might
no
want to move
ob-
it
there's
back
no
a little bit more in your
obstacles,
stance, and I just would learn
But
it.
no
Yeah.
obstacles, no nothing.
Yeah.
Never past center.
Charlie, is that an answer?
Yeah, if we follow your instructions, we won't ever be in the trees again, right?
I love it.
Sorry to go back, but you said from pitching wedge the irons, everyone going lower would be a half-inch shorter on the club?
The
length?
shafts,
Right.
yeah, from
Okay.
all wedges are pretty much the same length,
Right.
and then your 9 iron would be a half-inch longer,
Right, okay.
8 iron another half. Yeah, they go in half-inch increments. the
Everyone,
irons do.
okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So, okay, so let's go to the actual rotation, weight shift within the rotation. and trying to get everything set at the top of the backswing. That's going to be our next sector that we're